Hey everybody, how you doing? It's Peter here, and it's time for the PDG Advertising Podcast, episode 50. So we made it to 50 episodes, and I'm really pleased. It hasn't been as consistent as I would have liked, but pretty close. We've definitely had, we only started this maybe 2 months ago, 3 months ago maybe, all the way back to PDG, the PDG Advertising Podcast, episode 1. And if it's done anything, it's helped to document the journey. And I think that's something that's very, very important. I wonder if we look back on this in a year or 10 years' time and see where we came from and look back at the adventures that we went on. So I'm really pleased to present episode 50 of the PDG Advertising Podcast. And thank you very much for listening as we've been going along. So today I wanted to start off with something that's very important to me and something that's been really obvious as we've been going through the last couple of weeks. When I worked in a very large contact center, I became a kind of default part of the digital marketing team in that business. And it was a global business, so it was quite high powered, even though I was pretty low ranking in that business, but I had a bit of a flair for online advertising, I think. And what happened was we had a conference call at one point, and I don't know how it came up, but it was a lady called Cindy Castro, and she's a wonderful lady. She's a wonderful lady. She wished me well on my birthday this year. So it was really nice. It was about 5 or 6 years since we've spoken, if not more. And she taught me something that's really important. And I don't know if this is a marketing thing or if it's just a general thing for life or work or whatever it is, but something that was really important to me as we were working in that was to do a good job, I guess. And I don't know why, but we were on a conference call and I must have been not doing one of these things that I'm about to share with you. That's what I've reflected on. I've realized that there must have been something that I was doing to annoy her, and she must have known a way of me not doing that. Maybe it was more I mentioned something and she thought, oh, this is a good idea. But she talked to me about a book, and it's a book called The 4 Agreements, and it's pretty awesome. It there's a lot of them that are common sense. Well, when I say a lot, there's only 4 agreements in total, but the 4 agreements, I'll tell you what they are, and then I'll go through them. So number 1 is don't assume anything. Number 2 is don't take anything personally. Number 3 is always do your best. And number 4 is be impeccable with your word. So if we break this down to each of these points and we go through them, don't assume anything is really important when dealing with people. If you assume something, it's going to be, I think it's like 80% likely to be wrong. And when you do, you open yourself up to being wrong. But we all do it. We all assume things all the time. And I hope that I don't assume much, but when I do, I'm usually wrong and usually surprised. So I guess the way to get around assuming things is to, ask questions if you're unsure. I mean, it has big connotations. Like if you were a pilot and you assumed that you had enough fuel to get to where you were going, would you definitely make it? You can't say for sure, and you've got people's lives at risk. So it's quite a high drama example, but it's the same in work. What's the point of holding things up if you assume something and you don't know it for sure? In email marketing, we don't assume that we've got the right list that we're sending emails to, because our lists are huge that we send emails to. They're like 200,000 people large. So whenever we're doing it, we always check, and double check. And we always make sure that we know what's going to happen when we press a button. Because what has happened before in the past is people have pressed buttons and, I have pressed buttons and not known what was going to happen. But we don't assume anything at all. and we make sure that we know what's going on. And if we don't know, we ask a question. If you ask questions, you're good. Sitting in silence doesn't work, and that'll never help your career or your business or whatever you're doing. Then the second one is a big one, especially for me. I can be kind of a sensitive kind of a guy, and I not taking things personally. So the second one is don't take things personally, and that's quite an important one, because if you're on a conference call or you're in a meeting or you're in anything like that and someone criticizes something that you're doing, I think it goes back to the common goal, and we need to all work together towards a common goal. And if people start getting hurt and start feeling damaged by comments, now don't get me wrong, I think everybody should put across things in a respectful way. But whenever someone does challenge you on something, I don't think that you should take it to heart and take it personally. You should look at it for what it is and try to do better. Now, this is one that I don't always come up to the mark that I would expect of myself for, but I'm trying, and I think we all need to work on, not taking things personally. Think of how much quicker and faster everybody could move if they weren't getting hurt and annoyed and upset that, oh, that person looked at me that way, or they didn't. If you just didn't take those things personally, you'd be a lot faster. So not taking things personally is number 2. Do your best. Do your best. Do your best. Do your best. This is number 3, and it's so important. I think, what's the point of doing anything? If you're going to be a digital advertiser, you may as well do the best job that you possibly can at being a digital advertiser. If you're going to build furniture, I mentioned that because we got some new seats in the PDG Advertising office today, and if you're going to do that, you may as well be the best digital advertiser, the best furniture builder, or the best team maker, or the best bin man, or the best cleaner that you can possibly be. There's no point being anything else. There's no time for anything else, I don't think. And that's something that's really important. Doing your best is really important. And the next one, episode number 4, is be impeccable with your word. This is the most important one to me, personally, and for other people. I can't have it whenever people don't do what they say they'll do. I can't have it whenever I don't do what I say I'll do for myself or for other people. Things happen sometimes and you end up not being able to do what you say you do, but there should be a good reason for it. So if you've promised something to someone, you should definitely do it. If you can't do it, you should definitely find a way to communicate that to the person as quickly as possible, immediately. Never let that underlie, because I've got another point that I would add to this. But being impeccable with your word, doing what you say you will do, is one of the most important things that you can possibly have. And that's not easy. It is not easy to do what you say that you'll do. I've got a tip that will help you be able to do that. And you might wonder why we're talking about this on the PDG Advertising Podcast. Are we not just about advertising and PDG? We're not really, because this is something that's really important, because you will be a better advertiser. You will be a better marketer if you follow this, if you do what you say you're going to do. The world is full of mediocrity. The world is absolutely full of people who say they're going to do something and they don't. It's full of flakes and it's full of lies and disingenuousness. So if you take it upon yourself to do what you say you're going to do, like I said that I was going to do the PDG Advertising Podcast every single day, and I haven't fallen massively short from that, but I've been annoyed that it hasn't been every single day. I don't think anybody can, fault me for doing that, but for myself, I wanted it to be every single day. So I'm working towards making sure that from now on, it's every single day. And you'll notice that we've had a podcast on Monday, on Tuesday, and today is Wednesday, and this is the 3rd one this week. So I'm pretty pleased about that. But I wouldn't have been pleased, and I would be pretty annoyed with myself if I hadn't done it, because I believe in being impeccable with my word to myself and to other people. And I do see that in other people. I see that in my team here now. I see it in the contractor team that we have, the people that do some work for us. I definitely see it in my family. It's something in my family that I see all the time. I see it in my friends as well, my close friends. And I suppose I see it in all my friends, because I think you I only really get close to people whenever they do what they say that they're going to do. And in business, I definitely only get close to people whenever they say whenever they do what they say they're going to do. I've literally no time for anyone that doesn't do what they say that they're going to do. If someone wanted to sell something to me, if they just told me briefly what they were going to do, I could make a decision right there and then if it was of benefit to me or not, and then I would go with it. All of the talk, all of the fluff, all of the sales pitch, all of the crazy talk that people get into whenever they're trying to sell something is absolutely useless to me. So one of the most important things in this is doing what you say you'll do and being impeccable with your word. And the tip that I have for you to keep that is to not lie. Don't tell lies. And I think if we were all honest with ourselves, we'd be able to say that we all tell a certain amount of lies to ourselves. So we all either tell lies to ourselves or we tell lies to each other. Whether it's like the fisherman's tale where I went out and the fish I caught was this big and you didn't actually catch anything at all, or whenever you're in a business pitch and you're saying that you've, sold millions of this product when actually you haven't even got it, created ready for sale yet. Whatever it is, whenever you've told yourself that you're going to do something and you don't, like you've told yourself that you're going to lose weight, or you've told yourself that you're going to make $1 million or pounds or whatever it is, and you just haven't, and you haven't made any effort for it, stop lying to yourself and to other people, and it will make it so much easier for you to do what you say that you're going to do. Because I think that people say what they're going to do and they don't do it because they lie to themselves and others. People say that they are going to meet someone at a certain point and they don't. People say that they're going to deliver a certain project at a certain time and they don't. It's because they're over promising and under delivering. Under promise and over deliver. Deliver more value is better than under delivering. And it all comes down to lying. Don't lie to yourself. Don't lie to other people. Don't lie to your colleagues, even if you think it's going to be good. Now, sometimes I guess white lies, really small white lies, may be acceptable, but I'm pretty much not sure about that just yet. But I know the bigger ones, and just being conscious of whenever you're saying something that you can't follow up on, don't do it. So, to recap, there are 4 agreements that you make to yourself according to this book. If you Google the 4 agreements, I don't know who it's by. I've read it, but it's a very short book, and this is the basic element of it. Don't assume anything. Don't take anything personally. Always do your best and be impeccable with your word. And I'm adding a 5th one in. Don't lie. It'll make everything a lot easier. And I want to give proper credit where credit's due about don't lie. That's not come up. That's not been created by me. I have been listening to a lot of stuff by a guy called Jordan B. Peterson recently, and he, even in small things, whenever you say, "Oh, I'm going to eat healthily tonight," don't lie to yourself. Follow through. Do what you say you're going to do. And I've been making sure that I have been, so it's made everything a lot easier. I've been a little bit happier, because I'm a pretty happy guy anyway, but definitely been a little bit happier from making a conscious decision not to lie to myself or others in any way, shape, or form. Let's see how that goes. So today, the PDG Advertising office is all completely covered in boxes and random chairs. So we got some new furniture. We put it together today. It looks a lot nicer, I think, than the previous ones that we had. So that's cool. All in with the focus of making a nice environment for us to work in. Anthony got a new Apple computer, which is great, to help him do better designs on. I absolutely hate Apple in terms of usability, but they definitely bring a little bit of style, a little bit of class to the office. So I'm really pleased about that. So yeah, the one thing that I wanted to talk about on the podcast in addition today was first impressions. And I think first impressions mean an awful lot, and they matter an awful lot, and we're learning that more and more. I knew it already, but you always forget things. But just like a pencil, I think you get like a little bit blunt as you're using stuff. So things need to be tightened up and sharpened over time. And first impressions are really important to us. So we work with a couple of very high-end luxury customers. And although first impressions are important for everyone, they make a point of telling us this has got to be bang on the first impression, because that's what we're going for and that's what our customers are going for. And it always reminds me, whenever we talk more hiccups on the 50th episode of the PDG Advertising Podcast. Whenever I talk about first impressions, it always reminds me of Singapore. I went on a kind of global tour of call centers for an old work that I was working in, going teaching people about social media and things like that. And I went to Singapore. I was just flying through Singapore. And I was in what's known as the world's best airport, Changi Airport. But as I was coming into Singapore, I was so shocked. Like, whenever you come into Belfast Airport, London Airport, basically any other airport that I've ever been to, except maybe Hong Kong. Hong Kong was pretty cool. But anywhere except for Singapore, everything's all over the place. You know, there's no structure. It's just city, and it's just been put together, and all the buildings are all different shapes, and it looks cool, but it's not exactly picturesque. So that was interesting. Whenever you come into Singapore, everything is uniformed, everything glows, everything is golden, it's all shiny, it looks really nice and inviting. And I was like, wow, this must be an incredible place. You must be able to, everything looked really clean too, really beautiful, and looked really, really nice. And I guess Singapore has a history of being, you know, a port where a lot of people would come and people would exchange, people would be meeting for the first time, I guess. And I looked up about this, and apparently the Singapore government just understand that first impressions matter and first impressions count. And I got a great first impression from Singapore. And it's something that's really important because it's in my mind as somewhere that's cool and somewhere that's good and somewhere that's, you know, thinks about what it's doing. Might not be, like, I don't know. I've not actually stayed there for any length of time, so it's possible that it's not. But we'll go there someday and we'll find out really. But in terms of first impressions, it rocks. So what we're asking ourselves at PDG Advertising is, what is our first impression like with other people? What is our website first impression like? What is our social first impression like? Whenever people come across us, what are they seeing? What do they like? What do they not like? All really important things for us to think about. And while I'm not telling you what to do, maybe that's something to think about for your brand. How do you come across, and what do you look like online? So everyone, that was the PDG Advertising Podcast episode 50. And here's to another 50. And we'll be doing one tomorrow, and we'll be doing one the day after, because we do what we say we're going to do around here. And I can't wait. So I hope the rest of your day is amazing. I hope the rest of your week is amazing. I hope the rest of your year is amazing. I hope the rest of your life is amazing. And thanks so much for listening so far.